the interesting things about this Masechta is that it can jump from Kachim, Taharas, then jump into Moed, and then it jumps into Baba Metzia, stuff that we learned in how contracts and lending money was, and mashkan, collateral. Tonight we're doing Zroyim. The Mishnah says, if you eat by accident Truma of the Kohen, so the Chumash says, if you do it by accident, you have to pay the Kohen back. You have to pay back the principal that you stole, and you have to pay back a fifth more, okay, 20% more. So now the Mishnah says a very odd thing. Ha'oichel trumas chametz b'Pesach. Someone ate the truma chametz on Pesach. So he ate the truma that belonged to the Kohen, that the Kohen had around. Maybe he wasn't mevatel it, and he ate it, and a Yisrael ate it on Pesach. So what's the din? The Mishnah says, B'shoigik, if this Jew, Yisrael, ate the Kohen's truma by accident, Mishalem, he should pay Karen v'chomish. He should pay the principal plus 20% more. So right away, it should hit you. What do you mean? Why should he pay anything? It's the chametz b'Pesach is aser b'hanoah. You're not allowed to benefit from chametz b'Pesach, and therefore to the Kohen, this chametz had no value, right? It had no value. So what did you take from the Kohen? And that's why the Mishnah says, "B'mezid, if you did it on purpose, potter mitashlumim v'dmeitzim." You're potter from paying, and you're potter even from paying. Just if the Kohen claims he was going to use it as firewood, you're potter for paying that. So that's very self-explanatory. Is because he didn't take anything from the Kohen. But why is it in the Reisha of the Mishnah, b'shogeg you pay karen v'chaymish? So here is a very interesting fact that we're going to learn in the Gemara. But one of the ways the Gemara is going to explain this Mishnah is that the Mishnah is telling you that when you take the truma of a Kohen by accident, and the Torah said that you have to pay the Kohen back fruits. The Torah is telling you that you have to pay the measure of fruits that you took from him. If you took a pound of fruits from the Kohen, you have to pay him back a pound of fruits. That's the way it's worded in the Chumash. So therefore, it's more like a kapara. You're trying to get a forgiveness, an atonement for violating the truma of the Kohen. So you did a chet, not only to the Kohen by taking his property, but a chet to Hashem. So Hashem says you have to pay back a keren v'chomish, the principal plus 20% more, no matter what, irrespective of what the value of that chametz that you stole. You yourself need a kapara. That's why, even though it's on Pesach, even if it's chametz, still, if you did it by accident, you still need a kapara, paying the Kohen back a keren v'chomish. And that's called in the Gemara lefi domim mishalim. You pay the value, you pay the lefi midah mishalim. You pay the measure that you took, the amount of weight that you took from the Kohen. For a kapara, you need to pay that back. Not everybody agrees to that. Tanan Hasam, let's begin, and the Gemara is going to discuss that. Tanan Hasam, we learned in the Mishnah in Truma. Ha'oichel Truma b'shoigig. Someone who eats Truma by accident, regular, not on Pesach. B'shal and Karen, he has to pay back Karen, the principal, b'chomish, 20% more. Echad ha'oichel, whether you eat the Truma, v'echad ha'shoyse, let's say it's Truma of liquid, let's say it's wine, belonging to Truma. V'echad ha'sach, you took oil that belonged to the Kohen. All these things is, you have to, if you took it, let's say you took the oil of the Kohen, you have to pay back Karen v'chomish. The only time you don't have to pay back chomish, I want to point out to you, is if you take the Kohen fruits and you just throw it into the ocean. You didn't eat it. Then you don't pay back, you only pay back the principal. But to pay back the chomish, it had to be a situation where you ate it, drank it, or used it as an ointment. And using something as an ointment is like drinking it. That we know from Masechta Yuma. Echad truma tameya, whether you still take truma tameya belonging to the Kohen, v'echad truma tahira, whether you take the truma tahira, mishal in chomish, you pay back 20%. And if you violate it again, the 20% that you designated to give to the Kohen, if you violate it again, the chumsha, you'll have to pay 20% again on the chomish that you took. Now, so that's the simple Mishnah. Ibayalahu. The Gemara asked the question, since the Torah, by Truma B'Shoigig, the Torah was specific that the Torah wanted you to pay back fruits. You stole fruits, pay back fruits. Now, not money, because it says, B'nosan l'koyin es hakodesh. So the Gemara's question is, what was the Torah trying to tell you? Lefi kishum mishalem, when you pay back the coin, lefi midah mishalem, are you paying him back the weight? Exactly, you stole a pound, you pay him back a pound. Or lefi damim mishalem. Or was the Torah concerned about to pay him back the money that you took from him? The Torah was most concerned about the value. When you do it b'mezid, certainly you took something of value from the coin. You did it on purpose. Yeah, you still owe the coin back the value that you took. But when you do something by mistake, could be, although you have to pay the coin back, what was the point of the Torah saying, give him back fruits? Does the Torah want you to pay the weight back, or does the Torah want you to pay the value? So the Gemara gives you a nafkamina. Let's say you stole apples, and it was worth 4 zuzim. You stole a pound of apples worth 4 zuzim. And then when you by accident ate the truma, and you want to return it to the kohen, a pound of apples, and now it's only worth 1 zuz, right? So certainly you could simply say to yourself, let me get away giving the kohen back a pound of apples, because I took a pound, I'm giving him back a pound, even though the pound that I'm giving him back is less than what I took. So there, no, that's no question. The vadai kidimikar mishalem, you always pay back lefi domim, because you always pay back the value that you took. The loigara migazlim. You by accident are not worse than any person who steals. The Tanam, we learned in the Mishnah, kol hagazlonim mishalem k'shas hagazela. Every gazlan pays exactly the amount, the value of what it was when he stole, and therefore you can't just get away giving him back a pound of apples, because the pound of apples that you're returning in today's market is worth only 1 zuz, and when you ate it, you took 4 zuz. So therefore, you would have to give him, 4 pounds back, because that's no question. Ki to Bayalach, when is my question? In the beginning, it was worth 1 zuz. When you ate it, it was worth 1 zuz. And now it's worth a pound of apples is worth 4 zuz. Oh, so now, does the Torah say, the Torah wants you to pay back the weight that you took. So the Amalei, we tell the guy, Griva Achal, you ate 1 pound, right? You ate a pound. Griva Achal, Griva Mishalim. You should pay back a pound. Because even though it's worth a lot more, simple, the Torah told you to pay back the amount of weight that you took. Or maybe you'll say according to the value. Even though the Torah told you to pay fruits, the Torah just wanted you to give back the value. Oy dilma lefi dam mishalim. Bezuza achal, you ate a zuz of apples. Bezuza mishalim, you pay a zuz back. So you'll pay less than a pound of apples, because the apples today are worth more from the time that you took it. So Amar Rav Yosef says, I have a proof. Toshma, come in here from this brisa. Achal groigers, if a guy ate figs, dried figs, which are not worth too much money. Let's say he ate a pound of dried figs. Yushilim loy tamar, and the guy was nice and paid the coin back by giving him nice, expensive dates. He ate a pound of figs and gave him a pound of dates back. So the Brisa says, Tovoy ola bracha. That person should be blessed, for giving the coin dates, and you only ate figs. So the Gemara says this brisa will only make sense, that this would only make sense if you're paying the coin back in weight. Therefore, you took a pound of figs and you're paying him a pound of dates. Therefore, your pound of dates is worth more than the pound of figs that you stole, that you took. Therefore, the brisa says, Tovoi olav bracha. You should be blessed for what you're doing. The achal griva de groigers, you ate a pound of figs, dried figs, the shavya zuzi, that's only worth 1 zuz. The kiyah, the griva de tamarim, the shavya avo, and you're giving him a pound of dates that are worth 4. So you ate figs, and they're giving dates. So therefore, you'll be best. But if you would want to say lefi dabim mishalim, that you pay according to the amount of money that you took, you're paying him exactly what you stole. Amai tovei ala bracha. Why does the Brisa say that for someone who does this, he should be blessed? Bezuzah achal, he ate the amount worth of zuz. Bezuzah kabashalim. He's going to pay a zuz. In other words, when he's going to eat a pound of figs, he's not going to pay back a pound of dates. He's going to pay back a quarter of a pound of dates because he's paying back the value that he took. So what's the big bracha? What is he doing? Why should he be blessed? So from here, Rabbi Yosef wanted to bring a proof that we say lefi midah mashalim. The Torah was concerned that you pay the exact weight, and that's why you're blessed. Amar Abaya said like this: Lo'ilam, really, I can tell you lefi damim shal. When you pay back the coin, you're paying him back according to the value that you took. Why are you blessed? You're paying him back the amount of figs that you took exactly in dates, the exact amount worth in dates. And for the Gemara, that still you're better off getting dates than getting figs. The acha midi the loikofitz alei zavina. You ate something that nobody really. It's hard to get people to buy it. The commercial midi the kofitz alei zavina, and you're paying them back with something that there's a lot of buyers. In other words, you ate figs. Figs is not such a popular item. And you're paying him back, although the same amount, the value is the same, but you're paying him back with an item that's easy to resale. And therefore, that's why you get blessed. So it's no proof from that brisa, that you say, lefi midah mishalim or lefi damim mishalim. The brisa can make sense either way. Now,
Bernard,
yes.
if he's taking the truma, he's doing the same amount that truma was, he's actually paying more because he's paying a fifth as well, besides the amount.
No, that fifth is taken out of the equation over here, because that's a given. The Torah says you should pay fifth more. That's not a special bracha. When you do something above and beyond the Torah, you get a bracha. And what he above and beyond the Torah is that he ate something that is hard to resell, like groigros, and he's paying back dates. But if the Gemara thought that if you learn lefi midah mishalim, that he's paying back in weight, then of course it's tovei ala bracha, because he ate something worth a pound of dates. Figs are worth less than a pound of dates. Okay. Yes. Let's go into the Mishnah, and I explained you the Mishnah how it only makes sense if you hold lefi midah mishalim. The Mishnah says. Our Mishnah just said, "Trumas chametz b'Pesach." Someone eats truma chametz b'Pesach. The kohen had truma. You forgot to get rid of it, and the Yisrael ate it. Bishoge by mistake. The Yisrael ate it. Mishalim keren b'chomish. He pays back a keren b'chomish. Yamrit bishlama lefi midah mishalim. If you say that you have to pay back the weight that you took, and it's a kapara shopper, that's why I understand you have to pay back keren b'chomish. Because you took a pound, albeit it's not worth anything, you're paying back a pound because that's what the Torah was stressing. Eli Amrit, but if you say, lefi damim mishalem, that the Torah was only, the whole point of the Torah was, the concern was that you pay back the value of what you took. Chametz b'Pesach bar damimi. Can chametz b'Pesach be worth anything? Certainly not. You can't have a no from it. So why does the Mishnah say you pay back keren v'chaimis? So I told you, when we learned the Mishnah, that it must be our Mishnah holds lefi midah mishalim, that therefore you're paying back the kohen, even though you didn't take anything of value, but you need a kapara, and the Torah says pay back the weight that you took. But the Gemara offers another teretz. In our Mishnah could go even according to the Mandi Amar, even according to the side question, lefi damim mishalim, the value. But our Mishnah is Hamani Rabbi Yossi Aglili. Our Mishnah is the famous Rabbi Yossi Aglili. We had him before, the Amar, who said chametz b'Pesach mutar b'hanoah. Chametz b'Pesach is mutar b'hanoah. So that solves the problem. You did take something of value to the kohen, because the kohen with that truma, he could have used it as firewood, right? Although he can't eat it, but he could have used it as firewood because so you did take something of value from the kohen. So the Gemara says yihachi ema seifa. Let's look at the end of the brisa. B'mezid patam et tashlumin. If you steal it, if you eat it on purpose, right? You potter from paying. And you even for the value of firewood. But Rabbi Yossi Aglili, if our Mishnah went according to Rabbi Yossi Aglili, amai potter min hatashlumin b'me'etzim. Why, if you do it on purpose, are you potter from paying and from the me'etzim? So the Gemara says the reason why you're potter is because you actually, when you ate it on purpose, truma. And the Hashem says that when you eat purpose, truma on purpose, the truma belonging to Kayim, there's something called Misa B'dei Shemayim. A person dies young, not his children, but he himself dies young. So once you were declared Misa B'dei Shemayim, we have this rule that once you have a punishment of death, then you don't have to pay. You get away with this more severe punishment. And this is the same idea that we had before. Savalak Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakona. Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakona said the same idea. He said that not only if someone, let's say, lights a fire and burns somebody else's field on Shabbos on purpose, where he's chayiv skila, he doesn't have to pay back the person he damaged because they're going to give him skila anyway. Also, if you do this on Yom Kippur, right? Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakona said, where you only get kares, where you die young, your children die young, even then, you will also be potter if you do it on Yom Kippur. And hu adin name, by you eating the truma on purpose, although you didn't know it was chametz, so you only chayiv misa b'dei shemayim from eating the truma. You're still potter from paying because this concept of kumle b'derabule. Once you're decreed dead or you get the severe punishment, you get amnesty from the lighter punishment. In Tanya, we learned in the Brisa, when somebody violates Yom Kippur and owes somebody money because of his violation of Yom Kippur, and the example I gave is because he burned down somebody's field of Yom Kippur, he's just like Shabbos. Just like if you did it on Shabbos, you're potter from paying. You do it on Yom Kippur, you're chayev to pay. I will point out to you that the reisha of the Mishnah, when the Mishnah says that you ate the truma of the kohen b'shoigeg, and you're chayev to pay back the kohen, must be talking about not only you are shoigeg on eating the truma, but you were also shoigeg that you didn't know it was chametz. Because if you knew it was chametz and you were just a shoigeg on truma, you wouldn't have to pay either because you're chayev kares. So you were shoigeg on both the chametz. You were shoigeg on chametz and also shoigeg on truma. That is the beginning of the Mishnah. The Sefer of the Mishnah is talking about you were amazed on the truma, but a shoigeg on the chametz, and you only chayiv misa b'dei shemayim, and nevertheless you're potter from paying. Now the Gemara now says kitanoi that actually this idea of lefi dam mishal or lefi mida mishal is actually a machlekes tanaim. You'll see it clearly. It's not just a question in the Gemara. There are two tanaim that argue about this idea. Oichel trumas chametz b'Pesach. Eat truma chametz in Pesach. Potter min atashlumin d'me'esin divrei Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Kiva says you're potter no matter what. If you eat truma by accident, you're potter from paying, according to Rabbi Kiva, because Rabbi Kiva holds there's no hana over here, and Rabbi Kiva holds lefi damin mishal. You didn't steal anything. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri mechayev. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says you chayev to pay because Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says lefi mida mishal. And Amar Loi Rabbi Kiva, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Rabbi Kiva says to Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, why should you have to pay if you eat trumas chametz b'Pesach? Not like our Mishnah, obviously. What did you take from the coin that you have to pay him back? Amar Loi Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says to Rabbi Kiva, if someone would eat the coin, truma tamei of the coin, the rest of the year, what benefit did he have? The coin couldn't eat it anyway. So do you agree with me, Rabbi Akiva, that if you eat truma tameya the rest of the year, that you have to pay back? Amalai, so Rabbi Akiva answered, the rest of the year, truma tameya, although the coin can't eat it, but he can use it as firewood. The rest of the year, the kohen could take the truma tameya, and because he can't eat it because it's tummy, he could have used it as firewood. So if you steal it from him, then you have to pay him back because you stole firewood for him. But the case that we're talking about, it's chametz b'Pesach, the kohen can't do anything with it. He's no eating it and no using it as firewood. The trumas tusim v'novim chenitma. If let's say you have grapes of truma or berries of truma that became tummy, those cannot even be used as firewood. does not have no heter to eat it or a permission to burn it. You can't use it because it's full of liquid. So therefore, if someone would steal the trumas tameya of berries belonging to kohen, wouldn't have to pay either. So basically, the bottom line is Rabbi Akiva holds you always pay back lefi damen, the value. But Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri holds lefi midah mishalim. That's why Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri is like probably the author of Baal Mishnah that says if you eat trumas chametz b'Pesach, you chayav to pay. And then the Gemara says, when were we talking about the mafresh truma b'achmitza? The truma was taken off before Pesach, and then it became chametz. Aval mafresh trumas chametz divrei hakol ein kedusha. If on Pesach you took off and made it truma, although it was chametz, it never even became truma into the first place because when you separated it out to give to the kohen, it was chametz. So you didn't make anything kedusha there. So that's what the Brisa says. So we have a machlokes tanoim if it's lefi damim or lefi midah. Tanidach, there's another Brisa. The Torah says that you have to pay back when you take it by accident. You have to pay him back holy fruit. This is a key word. You have to pay him back holy fruit. So davar haroyli is kodesh. It has to be something that could be truma again. Prat la'oichel trumas chametz b'Pesach. If you eat trumas chametz b'Pesach, shepata min atashlumin umidmei eitzim. You pata from tashlumim and dmei eitzim. You don't have to pay him back. Divrei Rab Lezer ben Yaakov. So Rab Lezer ben Yaakov disagrees again with our Mishnah that the Torah, since you didn't steal anything from the kohen, you don't have to pay back. The Rab Lezer chisma mechayim. The Rab Lezer mechisma obligates you. By the way, in Dr. Henry Abelson's clip, he talks about who this Rab Lezer chisma is. It doesn't say his name is Rab Lezer ben Chisma. What does the word chisma mean? So he gives you a little synopsis for who he was, and he thinks the word chisma means somebody who had a very strong, strong-willed person. You'll see, it's very nice. Anyway, Rab Lezer chisma says Chayiv. Amalei Rab Lezer ben Yaakov, Rab Lezer chisma. Why should you be Chayiv if you eat trumas chametz b'Pesach? What did you take from the kohen? Amalei Rab Lezer chisma. Rab Lezer chisma says the Rab Yezer ben Yaakov. What benefit if somebody would eat truma tameya the rest of the year that you agree with me, Shemashalim, you, Rab Lezer ben Yaakov, agree with me that if the rest of the year, if you took truma tameya belonging to the kohen, you would have to pay. So why should you say chametz? You don't have to pay. So Amalai, so Rab Lezer ben Yaakov answers, very simple. Law, it's not. You can't compare it. By truma tameya the rest of the year, the rest of the year truma tameya you can't eat it. I grant you that, but yesh loy heta asaka. The kohen could have used it as firewood, but chametz trumas chametz time and bazu, the kohen couldn't have done anything with it. So he has no way to eat it and no way to burn it. So Rab Lezer ben Yaakov clearly holds like Rabbi Akiva. And even like Rabbi Akiva, that holds lefi damim mishalim, and Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri holds lefi midah mishalim. But Rabbi Lezer Chitzma is a little different. Amaloi, Rabbi Lezer ben Chitzma says, "Afa bizu yesh loy hatasaka." Trumas chametz b'Pesach has a way to benefit from it. Why? Because Rabbi Lezer Chitzma agrees with Rabbi Yossi HaGalili. That Shemrotz HaKohen, the Kohen wanted, he could have taken this Trumas Chametz, Maritza Liftei Kalboy. He could have given it to his dog. I guess Jews had dogs. Or Masika Tachas Tashlila, he could have used it as firewood. So by you taking it, you stole something from the Kohen. Therefore, Rabbi Lezer Chisma he probably holds like Rabbi Yossi HaGalili. That's why you have to pay back the Kohen. Lamed Gimel Lamed Beis. Amar Abaya said, Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov, Rabbi Kiva, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, all these three Tanaim hold, Kuli Sevira Luhu, Chametz b'Pesach, Asabana. Chametz b'Pesach is Asabana. And so then why does Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri disagree with Rabbi Akiva and say you have to pay the kohen back? But this is what they're arguing. The Rabbi Akiva Salva, Lefi Damim Misham. You always pay back the value that you took. And on Chametz, Turmas Chametz, you didn't take anything. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri Sava lefi midah misham. The Torah wants you to pay back the weight that you took, even though it's not worth anything. You took a pound of fruits On Pesach, chametz fruits, so chametz wheat, you have to pay him back a pound after Pesach. So the Gemara says, Pshita, what you just said is obvious. I could have read through the text myself. So no, that's not so easy, because Mahu Desema, I would have thought, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zuri nami Rabbi Kiva sivir. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri holds like Rabbi Kiva that it's lefi dama mishalim. Dama lefi dama mishalim. You pay the value back. So then why does he say why does he say that who eats chametz b'Pesach, the trumas chametz b'Pesach, you have to pay the coin back. You didn't steal anything. That's why Rabbi Kiva says you don't have to pay the coin back. So I would have thought that the reason Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says that you have to pay the coin back is because I would have thought that Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri held like Rabbi Yosef Galili, and the reason why he holds you have to pay back is because he held that chametz b'Pesach is permitted b'hana. That is not the reason of Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri does not hold like Rabbi Yosef Galili that chametz b'Pesach is mutter b'hana. He holds chametz b'Pesach is asur b'hana, and still you have to pay the coin back because it's lefi midah mishalim. The Torah wants you to pay back the amount of weight that you took. So the Gemara says, "Ve'ema hachinami." Why don't you say that the reason why Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says you have to pay the coin back is because he holds like Rabbi Yosef Galili that chametz b'Pesach is permitted b'hana. So then he should have said so. In Cain, Nehedele Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri should have answered to Rabbi Akiva the same way. The same way Rabbi Lazar Chisma answered Rabbi Lezer ben Yankov, he should have answered the same thing to Rabbi Akiva. Because if you remember at the bottom of the page, Rabbi Lazar Chisma answered that the reason why he holds you have to pay is because the kohen could have used it for his dog food, right? So why did Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri say that? He was like silent about the whole thing. It must be Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri does not hold like Rabbi Yosef Galili that the kohen could have used it as dog food. But the reason why he holds that if you eat the truma of the kohen on Pesach by accident, you have to pay the kohen back because he holds lefi midah mishalim. The Torah wants you to pay back the weight that you stole. That's why it doesn't matter, irrespective of the value. Okay, we'll go another few more lines here. Okay, till the red. Turner Rabbanim. Again, as you see in this, in the Zroyim Masechtas, in the Kachim Masech, in the Taharas Masechtas, there were no Shas. So anytime the Gemara brings up things that have to do with Zroyim, the Gemara elaborates on it because they knew they're probably not going to write a Talmud on it. So Turner Rabbanim. Oichel Kazayas Truma. If someone eats a Kazayas of Truma, so you eat the regular truma, even though it's not worth a penny. In other words, you ate an olive's worth of fruit, and that olive's worth of fruit is not worth a penny. That's the point over here. Nevertheless, b'shalim keren v'chomish, you have to pay back the principal and 20% more. He holds that the point is not a kazayis. The point is how much the truma was worth. If it's worth a pruta, then you have to pay the keren v'chomish. If it's not worth a pruta, then you don't have to pay the keren v'chomish. So the main point, according to the Tanna Kama, is the size that you eat, irrespective of the value. And Abba Shaul says the main point is the shava pruta, the value. So the Gemara says, "My taina the Tanna Kama." What's the reason of the Tanna Kama that you stress only the amount of food? Because Amakra, the Torah says, if someone by accident, b'shkaga, eats the truma, which is holy items, so yoichal, the Torah says this word, yoichal, right? So we darshan, v'achila b'kazayas. Food is eaten in a kazayas. Okay, so you have the word yoichal. Abba Shaul, my tama, what's the reason of Abba Shaul? Amakra, the Torah says, when you pay back the coin, bin nosad, you have to give him something. Ve'ein esina pachas mishava pruta. When you're paying back someone, you have to pay him back something that's worth more than a shava pruta. So therefore, it must be that you violated the truma as it was worth a shava pruta. So the Gemara says, what does Abba Shaul say, do with the pasuk yoichel? Here, the Torah seems to stress that you have to eat a kazayas. You can't just eat a shava pruta's worth. It has to eat a kazayas. So the Gemara says, that teaches you prat lamazaku da asa. that's teaching you that the Torah makes you pay 20% more only if you eat it. But if I take the truma and throw it into the ocean, there's no din of chaimish. That's what the yoichal teaches me. The Tanakama, now the Gemara goes reverse. Haksiv v'nasan. The Tanakama, the pasuk says v'nasan, you have to give something back to the kohen. It's mashma that you have to give him something worth a shava pruta. What does v'nasan teach you? That you have to give him something that could become truma, edible truma right now. You can't give him something like, you can't give him dog food, the same value that you took. You have to give him fruits that could become truma. And also, here it says in parentheses, you can't give him back a chametz on Pesach. It says here's the truma that I took from you in chametz. No, you have to give him brand new fruits that could become truma. Tanur Rabbanan, rabbis taught, oichel trumas pachas mikazayis. If you eat truma less than a kazayis. So again, the Tanakama says, B'shalom is this brayso says, B'shalom is keren, you pay back the principal. The Eina Mishalim is a chaimish. You don't have to pay back the 20%. You don't pay back the 20%. So the Gemara says, hey chidami. What is this case talking about? If it's less than a kazayis, either lay space shava pruta, if it's not worth a shava pruta, so you ate less than a kazayis, and it's not worth a shava pruta, so what are you paying back the kohen? Karen nami loy l'shad. You shouldn't have to pay back the Karen. The Eid is space shava pruta. If it has a shava pruta, choimish name l'shalin. According to the Kanakama, according to this, if it has a shava pruta, you should be required to pay also the 20% more. So the Gemara says, no, not true. Because the Tanakama holds that if it's less than a kazayis, even though it's worth more than a shava pruta, this Tana holds you don't have to pay the choimish. Lo'ilam the ispe shavru. It's worth a shava pruta. Avelu hachi, even the less kazayis, mishalom is a karen, ain't mishalom is a choimish. You pay the karen and not the choimish. So the Bryce is talking about a case where you ate truma that's smaller than an olive, but it's worth more than a penny. It's worth more than a pruta. And because it's not the size of a kazayis, you're potter from paying the choimish, but you still have to pay the karen back because you took something of value away from the kohen. So obviously, this is not according to Abba Shaul, because Abba Shaul said, I don't care what the size you ate. If it's worth more than a shava pruta, you would have to pay the choimish. So Amru Rabbanan Kamei de Rapapa, the rabbi said it in front of Rapapa, this price of the loika Abba Shaul cannot be going according to Abba Shaul. Abba Shaul, if it went according to Abba Shaul, Ha'amar, Abba Shaul said, Kiva and Sheyesh Bo Shava Pruta, since it has a Shava Pruta, Afagav the less Bakazayas, you would have to pay back the choimish back. So therefore, this brisa cannot be like Abba Shaul. So our Papa tries to say a novel thing, and then he regrets it, and then he's knocked away. First, Rav Papa said, "Amalu Rav Papa." Rav Papa said, "Why did you? Who said so? I feel the tema Abba Shaul. Even you could want to say that it could go according to Abba Shaul. Maybe Abba Shaul tarte boya. Maybe he requires, in order for you to be b'chayim choimish, he's much lighter. He's much easier. You would have to have a kazayis, and it's worth the shava pruta. In other words, the Tanakama says that the criteria is what? It's kazayis. I don't care if it's worth the shava pruta or not. That's when you're required to pay the karen and the choimish. But according to Abba Shaul, it's the criteria is not only kazayis, but also shava pruta. So maybe this price could go according to Abba Shaul also, because the fact is it's worth a shava pruta, but it wasn't the size of a kazayis. That was Rav Papa's thinking about Abba Shaul. So the Gemara says it cannot be. Me boya Abba Shaul tarti. Does Abba Shaul require two conditions for you to pay karen v'chaimish? Does it require you to pay? Does it require it to be kazayis and also worth a shava pruta? But now we learned in the Mishnah, Abba Shaul oimer, or I'll tell you, we learned in the Brayso. Abba Shaul oimer. Abba Shaul says, "Hey, sheyesh bo shava pruta. If it has a shava pruta, chay b'tashlum. You have to pay. But ein bo shava pruta. If it's not worth a pruta, ein chay b'tashlumim. You don't have to pay back the choimish if it's not worth a shava pruta." And Amru loy, so the Chachamim said to him, "Loy Amru shava pruta ela inyim mila babad." By the mitzvah of Mila, stealing something from Hegdish There, you're right. We grant you that there's no, we don't consider kazayas or not kazayas. The main point criteria is if you stole a shava pruta from Hegdish or not. I grant you that, the Chachamim said. Aval truma, the Torah stresses the word yoichel, eating. You're not chayiv ad shehei boy kazayas, until you have a kazayas. So the way the Chachamim responded to Abba Shol is that they understood from Abba Shol that Abba Shol required you just to have a pruta and not to have a kazayas. Because if Abba Shol also required a kazayas, then Isa, if Abba Shol also required you to have a kazayas, what the Chachamim should have said to Abba Shol is Kaven sheyesh b'kazayas mi boyalei. They should have said to Abba Shol, we don't care about the pruta or not pruta, as long as it has a kazayas. And then that's the criteria. But the fact is, they said, until you have a kazayas, it's mashma from the way the wording of the give and take between Abba Shol and the Chachamim is that Abba Shol only required you to have a shava pruta. He did not require you to have a kazayas, to be obligated to pay the karen v'chomish. And the Chachamim are just the opposite. The Chachamim just want you to have a kazayas. They don't care if it's worth a shava pruta or not. So the bottom line is, there are people who said that Abba Shol maybe required tarte, 2 conditions. That is knocked out. So the Gemara says to Yufta, that is knocked out. And then the Gemara will say tomorrow, we'll learn that tomorrow from Afra Papa. He even regretted saying that Abba Shol required both conditions.
Bernard.
Yes.
Maybe it's simplistic thinking, but I'm just thinking about something in general. When someone's doing a bishogeg something and has to bring a korban chasas, or even or is fined like this, if you go a little bit further and say, like Rabbi Akiva says, don't you have to pay him anything at all? Okay, because the ikar is that it was chometz, and if you don't go like saying that like Rabbi Yosef Glili would say that actually you can do something with hana, like give it to your dog, even if you went according to Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon. There are 2 actors here, I think. One of the actors is the Kohen that's losing, but the other actor is the person that's committing the chet, b'shogeg. But the whole idea is when you learn, b'shogeg doesn't necessarily mean honest. There's something wrong intrinsically with the person, and he has to and that's why I think the Torah says you have to pay something, because you have to look at yourself. There's still something wrong, even though it was b'shogeg.
That's excellent. And that is the lumdus. That is the lumdus of what lefi mida mishalim.
Exactly.
That is the lumdus. Exactly.
Yeah.
You did something negligent, irrespective of if the coin lost money, and therefore the require.
That's right. That's right.
That's excellent. That's exactly what right. That's excellent. Okay. I would just point out one point from Tosfos, as we just learned today, that v'nosan, every time the Torah says v'nosan, that was how Abba Shol learned, ein nesina pachos mishava pruta. You have to give something of value. That's not always the case. For example, the Torah says by a get, the Torah says that you have to give the wife, the husband gives a wife a get. If he writes the get on an isure hana, let's say he writes the get on something you can't benefit from, it's still kosher. So we see the son does not require you to give something of value. Right? That's Tosfos' question. Gabe get, we say kosve al isuri no, it's a kosher get. So why does the Gemara say over here that every time and there it says nasan biyoda, you have to give it in her hand. So why does the Gemara says ein nesina, wherever it says nesina in Torah, it cannot mean something less than a shava pruta? So the answer is no. In that concept of get, you're not paying your wife back. In that concept, it just says giving your wife something. Here, the Torah is telling you when you pay the coin back, you're b'nasan. In that context, b'nasan means a shava pruta. When you pay somebody, that means shava pruta. Okay?
Yep.
Good.
Good
Good Nacht. Okay.
Good Nacht.